What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Art Shack. So today I got a mountain sketch for all you, and these are probably my favorite sketches to make. And I usually start off a mountain sketch with, of course, the mountains, and the way I'll do that is just a very light outline, just kind of signifying where I want the mountain to be and the general rough shape I want it to be as well. And then as soon as I got that sketch done, I immediately go in for the sky. And recently I've been making my skies relatively dark, which in the end makes them very dramatic, and it really sets the mood for the scene. And I'll usually leave the areas that I want clouds white, and then I'll take a blending stump and blend out the bottoms of the clouds and make them blend in with the sky. And then I'll take a kneaded eraser and go back into the tops of the clouds and make them kind of puffy looking, kind of take out some of that graphite and just kind of give it like a wispy look. It really helps to bring it to life, makes it look like it's moving around in the sky. One little trick I've been doing with clouds recently is taking the blending stump that is full of graphite and going back into the clouds and adding a bit of shadow. And you can see, as I'm zoomed in here, you can see a little bit of that detail work in the clouds. And right now I have a close-up shot where I'm working in on the mountains, and I just wanted to show you how much detail I'm going to be putting into these. It's just, I always like to map out where the highlights and shadows are going to be, but until the very end of when I was drawing these mountains, I still wasn't too sure how they're going to look or turn out. But the main essence of the mountains, or the main shape rather, I wanted to have three main mountains, one in the very front, one in the middle, and one in the back. And the one in the back is going to have almost no detail whatsoever. It's just going to be kind of like a gradient or a shade of pencil or graphite, just to really show that it's way out there. And a really great way to show that something's in the distance is to put almost no detail into it, but at the same time you want to know that it is a mountain, so having more mountains closer and then adding detail to those kind of helps to tell the viewer, okay, that's a mountain really far away, and you can tell that because it has no detail, because of the atmospheric perspective and the water particles in the air that reflect light and take details away from objects. It's a whole mess of information when it comes into atmospheric perspective, but just the main essence of it is the further an object is from you, the less detail it has. And especially when the weather has more of an impact, it's more so. But we'll get into that more with more tutorials I do in the future. I'll probably do more on atmospheric perspective and how it really impacts your drawings. But in this one, I really wasn't sure what I was doing most of the time. I know that I wanted mountains and a river. That's the only two things that I knew I wanted, and I wasn't too sure how to transition my mountains into the river. So what I decided to start drawing was kind of like a misty cloud layer at the base of these mountains. You'll see me start to work in some of the details of the clouds or mist at the base of the mountains pretty soon, but in the meantime I'm just working on the last details of the mountains. I'm just trying to sculpt the last shapes that I want to convey. And notice how I said the word sculpt. When I usually draw, I kind of just, sometimes I wing it and kind of go for it and and just kind of go for what I think will look good in the end, but sometimes it doesn't always work out, so I sometimes have to erase and go back in a little bit. And that big mountain peak, I eventually go back in and reshape it a bit, just because I wasn't really in love with the way it was looking, and when I changed it out I liked it a lot more. And here you can see I erased out a bit, and I'm changing the entire shape of the just the end piece of that mountain. I wanted it to come back down again, and there you can see it's changed. And just like that, you can really make a difference and edit something if you don't like it. That's why I don't usually make my drawings very dark until the end, when I get the rough shape that I like, and then go back in with the details. And then when I really like it, I'll really add in some finishing details to it. And so as you can see, I started on the clouds or the mist at the base of these mountains. And what I did with that is I took the blending stump that's full of graphite and I blended out the bottoms of these mountains, and then I carried that dirty graphite or blending stump and I made a layer of gray all the way down to, there's a line that I have on the bottom of the page that's rising up. I pulled it all the way down to there. And here what I'm doing is I have a 4H pencil, and I am making very, very light the vertical lines, and that will be trees. They're going to be the tops of the trees that are in the mist. And here I just zoomed in so that I can really show you guys what's going on. So like I said, I started out with a 4H pencil and made some very, very light pencil marks in the background. And then I took a 2H and made those lines slightly lower than the previous lines I made. And in these lines that I'm making, it looks very similar to when you look at a sound file and how it has those vertical up and down lines going. That's very similar to what I'm doing here. And here I'm zoomed in again, and you can see that I'm working in some individual trees, and I'm usually doing those in with a slightly darker pencil, probably in the B or HB range, because I don't want them to pop out a lot, but I want to show that there are some trees that are substantial in size, and they're coming up above the rest of the trees. And as you can see, if you take a look at the trees in the background, they kind of look like they're being engulfed in these the mist or the clouds at the base of these mountains. And it was pretty tricky to get that effect to kind of work out, leaving a bit of a gap of white between the layers. And I'm not saying to leave an even gap, you want to vary that gap just to show that the mist is interacting with the different trees. And it really helps to convey that, the mist is going in and out, weaving within the trees, and it just helps to really give an interaction and give this picture a real lifelike feeling to it. Now I'm starting to work on the river section of this drawing. As you can see, I took a pencil and made a slight embankment or a shoreline at the other side of the river. And now I am going in with I believe it's a 2H. It's a lighter pencil, it's not a dark pencil at all. And I'm making some vertical broad strokes just to kind of add in a bit of the reflection of the trees. And notice how I leave a layer of white, or just a white streak between the reflection and the shoreline, just to give that definition. And it also helps to give it some contrast and make it stand out a bit. And you can see I added in a few rocks into the water, and then I added in a little tree branch into the water that's flowing down, just to kind of give the scene a little more interest, just to kind of add in some variables. I always enjoy doing some things like that. And I love adding in rocks to the scenes as well. And here you go, I'm starting to add in some big trees on our side of the river that we're looking at across. And I start them out fairly light with, I believe, an HB or a 2H pencil. I kept this one light, and then I go back in later and work out some more. And I had these two trees mapped out pretty much from the very beginning. I had an idea of where I wanted them to be, and so because of that, I did not want to add in a lot of detail where these trees were going to be, because they're just going to cover that detail right up. And more so, I didn't want to add in a lot of detail because doing that would have dented the paper behind the trees, and you would have seen that texture right through the trees, and it would have been very distracting, and it would have taken away from the effect I was really going for. So I realized towards the end of this drawing that I would need a third tree, just because that last section of the drawing in the corner there had almost no detail, and it almost looked like there was a hole in the drawing. So I added another tree just to kind of patch up that hole, just to kind of hide my lack of details in the background there, and it really helped to tie this whole thing together and bring it to one unified piece. Alright, and so this drawing is in the final stages of completion. All I had left to do was add in some details to the rocks and some foreground, and I eventually added in some grass, which I'm going to do right now. And other than that, that's pretty much a wrapped up drawing. So if you enjoyed this one, please hit the thumbs up button, it really helps out. Also, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to comment. I will answer any question that you have. So if you have any questions, about the details or anything, just leave it down there, start typing, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And check out some more tutorials. I got quite a few tutorials on individual aspects. I have a pretty good one on how to draw grass, and that a lot of people really enjoyed. And I'll have a lot more tutorials coming out soon, so leave requests too, if that's what you want to see. Alright everyone, take care and enjoy. I'll see you all later.